with New Orleans, they should have been got off Zion. They're idiots for hanging on this long. And now you're in a jam because now you're selling for pennies on the dollar. The second he had that nice little run was it last year? Maybe I think he played well for a little stretch when he came back off injury or something. He should have been gone. You should have dealt him. Give up.
Welcome back to another episode of the BME podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. Fellas, Miles, freshly dyed hair, Greg, Mr. Hot Takes. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm doing good too. I'm not as good as Miles with this dyed hair, but I'm doing good,
Hey, it looked perfect too, because I'm like, when I saw it, I said, light skin. I couldn't pull that off. It worked out perfectly.
Nah, yeah, definitely. You could not. No. I didn't even notice it blends right in.
Perfect.
Odell Beckham.
I would not go as far as Odell. Definitely not. Hey, before we get into it, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We trying to be here for a good time and a long time. We're going to start off with this because this was not on the rundown, but it happened leading up to today. The LA Dodgers have signed Edwin Diaz, 3 years, $69 million deal. The Mets had offered a 3-year, $66 million. He was under contract with the Mets and decided to opt out of those last 2 years to sign with the LA Dodgers. Are the LA Dodgers Exhibit A for baseball needing to have a salary cap?
Is this because of the Dodgers racking up guys? Sorry, Miles, I'll let you go.
No, I was just going to say, I know they've kind of figured out a way to get around some of that by deferring money years down the line. So, Shohei's making $2 million a year for the next decade, which is insane. And a lot of other players that have come there are doing the same thing. And now you're getting Diaz, who one of the top 3 best closers in baseball right now. So this is going to get louder, the closer we get to spring training, that we might need a salary cap, even though I don't think they should have one. We should kind of just leave it as is, because salary cap's going to affect everybody. It's not going to just affect the Dodgers, which that's the reason that you're trying to do this and put it in play. I just don't know how we make this more fair to the league.
I think if they go get Schoolball from Detroit and they manage to get him in a trade, I think this thing's going to get really, really loud. Obviously, like Miles is saying, I think there's going to be other transactions they make in the future that have an effect on whether or not guys are going to be pounding the table for a salary cap. Teams like the Pirates already are because they're broke as a joke. So in this case with the situation, I think I kind of looked at it like, okay, well, he clearly preferred to go to the Dodgers over the Mets, which, okay, I get that. And the Dodgers just won a championship. You want to front run. Your brother was there. Your brother swore by the culture they have in place in Los Angeles. But I also kind of looked at it like, what does it say about the Mets, and what they're going to do and how they're going to recover? Because the Mets have that kind of money too to throw around. But, I think when you're in LA and you've won and you've built a culture like that already and it's in place, it's really easy to talk guys into coming over and playing for you. So I think that's the big thing in this situation. I think it's, obviously they have an appealing location. They're getting all the Japanese guys who come over, all the best prospects from Japan because they're close to home, being on the West Coast. And then also they're dominating domestically and they're just signing guys left and right. And it's because of the money deferral and all those things like Miles said. But I also think it's because a lot of teams can defer money. It's not just that. It's an appealing place to play, right? An appealing lifestyle to living in LA. So, it's tough though. I think, you're gonna get tired of the evil empire at some point. I think teams are gonna start pounding the table, and we're gonna see what happens. I don't want there to be a salary cap. I'm not a sore loser about it. But it's good. They're going to have a legitimate case. If again, you go get Screwball on top of all this stuff, and you get this guy, and you pay him up $200 million to be your top of the line starter for the next 7 years or whatever, it's going to get real tough to be against the salary cap, for these other teams. But I certainly hope that doesn't happen. The salary cap isn't necessarily the issue. We got to get owners to actually have some money in this league. How about that? Again, the Pirates don't spend. Like, there are teams that just don't spend money. So, like Paul Skeens, people know he's going to be out of there, and they know he's probably going to go to the Yankees. Like, that's a thing people talk about, right? Unless he goes to the Dodgers, right? But that's the thing people talk about. So, there's too many broke owners in the sport, and that's the real problem. Open up your purses.
Or your wallets, depending on depending on who you are. As you mentioned, you said you're not going to be a sore loser, especially being that your owner ain't he ain't broke. I mean, it's the LA Dodgers owner is really moving something different, and now the LA Lakers owner. So them pockets are deep, but I mean, the Mets owner ain't no poo when it comes to money either.
The NBA is lucky that there's aprons in place, because if they weren't, the Lakers would start dominating as soon as next year. They would just be signing everybody if there weren't these aprons. So don't let the aprons, that thing the whole thing fall apart. Because right now with the aprons, the only team in the NBA that has salary cap is the Nets, and that's just because they're not trying to compete. So can you imagine if the Lakers had salary cap space, it would be a problem. It'd be a problem.
Hey, even so, he might not have no problem paying that fee.
Going into luxury tax. So, it's gonna happen. Yep.
He might be, tax me. I want a ring. Yep. He gonna get the ring, and it'll. Especially, we already seen him prices to go see the Lakers. He'll make his money back without any problems. But talking about sore losers, we all know that Notre Dame is not going to be a part of any bowls because they are not fans of how they are not a part of the college football playoffs. They are not getting a chance to be a champion. College football playoffs, has it actually been more harmful than positive for college football?
I think it's been more harmful just from the standpoint it's kind of made the other bowl games kind of irrelevant. Like, it used to be that once you get to December, you got the conference championships, and then you got like a slate of bowls for the next like 30 days that you're tuned into. But now with the playoff, you just care about the 12 teams that make it. And I mean, some of the bowl games that all these other colleges are playing in, they're obsolete. Like, nobody cares to watch it. Like, I don't even know what other bowl games there are except for the ones that these teams are going to play in the playoffs. So I don't know how they change it. I've seen some people say, like, at some point they might just do the bowl games that first week of the season, so you're still able to get eyes on these games. But yeah, once they made it a 12-team playoff and made it so focused on almost like a tournament style thing, it's like these other like 150 teams don't really matter. And yeah, Notre Dame's complaining because, I mean, last week they were higher than Miami, and then this week they dropped behind Miami. They might be confused, but there should be no confusion. You lost to Miami. Both teams 10-2. Now it's head-to-head. You lost to Miami first game of the season. That was it. Who cares that you won 10 in a row? But you're playing Purdue and some of these crappy teams. That doesn't mean much. Like, BYU had a better argument to make the playoff than Notre Dame, honestly. So the AD going on his crying spree to the different networks and saying this is going to change how we work with the ACC moving forward. Maybe we move out of the conference. I'm like, give me a break. Like, you've done this to yourself by trying to play the independent role in college football. Like, it's going to come back to bite you at some point. The best way to kind of move forward is at some point they got to join a conference. They talk about tradition and, we've always been independent, and this and that. But now that college football is a little different than it was in the 50s, like you've got to kind of come to present day and realize, hey, they're knocking us a little bit because we're independent. And yes, they play a schedule aligned with the ACC, but you're not in the ACC. You're not going to win a conference championship. If they were ACC champs, cool, you're in there. But you don't have any credentials outside of beating Pittsburgh in November and USC in October. Like, give me a break. So they can cry all they want. And I mean, I heard somewhere that if they're in the top 12 next year, they automatically get in. I think that's BS. Like, it should be fair for all the teams. But hey, it's Notre Dame. They're like the Yankees of college football. They're going to kind of get their way even when they don't deserve it.
I mean, yeah, I think the join the conference part is the biggest thing in that whole conversation with Notre Dame, right? Why is your basketball team in the conference in the ACC and you're not in the conference? It makes no sense. It's a football team. Like, why, right? You want to dictate and, dictate your terms and how you're going to make it to the college football playoff every year. Well, them and Florida State are only two big time schools I can think of that, and there are other ones, but those two schools are prominent and are not in conferences, Florida State and also Notre Dame. So the only way you're going to make it into the college football playoff every year is if you run the table. That's the only way you're going to get into the college football playoff every single year, because you're not in a conference, because you're not tied to, rivalries. You're not playing other teams. They have rivalries, sure, like the USC game, but like beating USC these days don't mean nothing, right? They're not where they're supposed to be either. So it's just one of those things where they need to tie themselves to a conference, preferably the SEC, where you play the best of the best, which they won't want to do. They'll try to get into another conference like the Big 12 or the ACC, somewhere else where they'll play lesser competition, right? Obviously, to pad the stats and get more wins. But if you really want to make a case for yourself, you go into the SEC. If you lose 2 games in the SEC, you'll still get into the dance. That's how great the conference is. But losing it as an independent team, you're not going to get in. And then to complain and then basically to pack up your stuff and go home like a child who didn't get what they wanted and say, I'm not playing in a bowl game, it's nonsense. And honestly, like these ADs and these big time schools have really, again, defiled what it means to play in these big, bowl games. They used to have a big game feel to them, like Miles was saying, when I was younger. Now it's just like guys are sitting out of them. There's a million of them. There's a Chick-fil-A bowl. There's a Fiesta bowl. There's the Greg bowl. There's the Antonio bowl. There's all types of bowls. So, it don't really mean the same thing it used to mean to play in one. There's no honor and there's no pride in it. But hey, man, Marcus Freeman's going to be a hot coaching game amongst NFL circles. So we'll see what happens with that, because as far as I'm concerned, that's the most interesting thing to talk about that there is to talk about when you talk about Notre Dame. So that's it for me.
I also think that moving forward, you're going to see less and less of the top teams out of conference playing each other. Like Texas, if they don't play Ohio State that first game, they're in.
Yeah.
They finished, 13th in the country with 3 losses. And they got docked because they played Ohio State the first week. And sure, they lost to Florida. But still, you play Ohio State and it's not in the playoff, what's the point? Outside of trying to bring eyes to the sport, that's not going to benefit you when it comes down to making the playoff. So, yeah, I think teams are going to start scheduling these cupcake schedules before they get into conference, because, the conference is all that matters. And those first games, sure, I'll play Elon or American University.
NJCU.
Like I'll play those teams, because I'm not gonna waste a game where we could lose and it'll affect us at the end of the year when Selection Sunday comes.
Hey, they might have to take that Kim Mulkey route, LSU route. We're gonna play a bunch of non-ranked teams, losing records. We're gonna score 100 points every game. They might have to take that route. Before we continue, you just mentioned the aspect of Marcus Freeman. Do you think he returns? Do you think he goes to the NFL? Because I'm trying to remember. I forgot who said. I think it was Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was like, I think he should stay. But I mean, Urban, we know why you think that. Do y'all think he goes to the NFL? or stays with Notre Dame?
He should.
He should. But I also think that if the Giants' job is calling your name and you're any coach at any level, you're probably going to give it thought because they have a quarterback. You have a chance to be successful. They have a team, a roster that's not completely devoid of talent. So if they're looking at you and they're interested in you, I think you'd look at it. And I think he's going to give it a hard look. I think these rumors aren't just smoke. I think it's real. It'll be really interesting, to see if it all works out because the Giants talked about getting an experienced coach. But look, if you're in college, I tend to believe that if you're coaching in college, you're probably more cut out for it because you're dealing with kids. It's a whole different thing than dealing with grown men. And it's a little scary when you talk about making that jump to coaching adults and professionals. But if I had to guess right now, I'd say he's going to stay in Notre Dame. But we'll see what happens, right? I just think this whole thing, the noise we're hearing about it is real. That's all I'm going to say. I think it's real, and I think that he's going to give it a real hard look. He's giving all the PC answers when people ask him about it, by the way.
As he should, but also, as a person of color, you're the head coach at Notre Dame, which is one of the top 3 or 4 jobs in college football. I wouldn't be so quick to give that up because if you do take the Giants job and you flame out after a few years, that job's gone. And what do you have left coming back into college? I don't know. You have to start over. And that's tough to do, to have to start all over from the bottom and work your way up. I mean, Lane Kiffin did it, but not everybody wants to do that. So I could see him being here 15, 20 years if he wants to. He's young enough that he could make that choice, but I'd like to see him stay at Notre Dame.
Yeah, to your point, he is young enough. He could stay there and still. Will it be the best opportunity? You're talking about 15, 20 years? You can't tell the future, obviously. So I think, like Greg said, it doesn't harm to just go talk to them, see what they talking about, see if it's really best for you. Kind of like with Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley went to go. She took the interviews. I'll go talk to Dolan and see if the Knicks want to hire me. She's at South Carolina still, but those opportunities you don't pass up just to have a conversation. On the flip side, we talk about the professional level, NFL. We're gonna go through some of these teams, contenders and pretenders. Play a little game. I'm gonna just go by the rankings right now. What we have in the NFL for the playoffs right now, 1 through 7, except in the AFC because I believe the 4th seed is not a team that any of us take serious, so there's no point in mentioning them. But on the AFC, we're gonna start off with this one. The Denver Broncos at 11-2, the number 1 seed. Are they contenders? And when I say, let me set this preface because I know we've had this conversation before. Contenders, are they viable to win a Super Bowl? That's what we're talking about right here. Are the Denver Broncos 11-2 contenders or pretenders?
I say pretenders. I just don't believe in that offense. I mean, they've benefited from a great schedule, and that defense is legit. But Bo Nix didn't really show up in the playoffs last year, and he hasn't played his best football to date this year. So what makes me think he's going to just all of a sudden turn it on when he has to, when the lights are bright? I'm just going to say it's fake. Cool, you're 11-2, but nobody believes that you're a serious threat to win a Super Bowl. You must be mile high or something. So
Denver, I'm gonna call them a pretender. I don't believe that offense is good enough to win the big game if they play against a team that's also going to go out there and be great defensively. At the end of the road, I trust the Bills more than I trust them, and the Bills have had their issues offensively, but I trust Josh Allen to go out there and make plays when it matters. I don't trust Bo Nix to go out there and make plays when it matters. I know that people were really upset last time I spoke about Bo Nix. They were pissed in the comments, and they were calling me all types of idiots. Like, the reality is, Bo Nix has had stretches in football games where he looks like he's he's a backup quarterback, right? He looks like a guy who doesn't belong out there as a starter. and then he will make the occasional big throw, and it comes in big spots at times because that defense will give you opportunities for that to be the case. But there are times where he's missing easy, screen throws to the flat. He's missing just simple routine free throws out there, right? And so I have my concerns about them again. I don't believe in that offense. They have a ton of punts as an offense. I don't have the exact stat, but they have a lot more punts than you would expect for a team who's sitting at what's the record? 10-2, whatever they are.
11-2.
11-2, right? They have a lot more punts than you would imagine. That defense has really been holding more than their end of the bargain and carrying that football team. So no, I think you have to have a guy who can consistently generate offense. It's the same reason why I don't believe in the Eagles, and I've been saying it here for a while. They don't consistently generate offense, right? And so I'm not going to be a hypocrite now and say that I think it's different for the Denver Broncos simply because a bunch of bowl leavers got mad at me in the comment section. I mean, you could be honest with yourself. Watch him play and give yourself an honest assessment. That guy does not look like a guy who is on par with the Drake Mays, the Jaden Daniels. I know Jaden Daniels has struggled, but Caleb Williams, he doesn't look like that. Like, that's not the way this thing is going. All right. He's regressed in year 2. That's just the truth. Teams have adjusted to what he does. So, I just call a spade, but no, I'm not a believer. I gave you a long-winded answer about it, but that's kind of what I do.
Oh, no, this is beautiful because this is definitely going to be clipped, and it will be a reply video to that video where people was upset on Bo Nix. So I'm going to go find that video in the comments to purposely stir up the flames, which, hey, your boy did a good job because they upset about that Paige over Caitlyn take, but that's a whole nother episode. You mentioned Drake May. 11-2 New England Patriots. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I believe, I'll be honest. I think they're contenders. I think that Mike Vrabel has done a phenomenal job coaching up that football team. I know that they've had an easier schedule this year, so people are skeptical, but I just believe in Drake May and his ability to make plays. That's just it. Like, I think he has a chance. Look no further than that Buffalo Bills game on a Sunday night earlier in the season where he went out there and put the team on his back and made plays and won them that football game. He can do that when it matters most in the postseason. Does that mean they're going to win a Super Bowl? No, but they're a team that can get to the conference championship for sure with him playing quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league already. And they hit on that position. They hit on the head coach. They've got a great culture now in place. The Patriots are back. I hate it. Bostonians don't deserve it, but he's back. They're back. They're back. So, they're contenders for the reason that they simply have Drake May and they have a great coach and things like that. And defense is good. They're a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Drake May could be the MVP at the end of the year if things continue the way they are.
Can we riff on that for a second? Because I don't think he's going to be MVP. That's just me. I think the MVP is Stafford. I'm just saying. I think it's Stafford. 33 and 4. 33 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, or whatever it is. I think it's 4.
Yeah, I could see that too. But the hype is real right now on Drake May. Outside of just talking to MVP, I mean, second-year starters throwing 71% completion rating, and he's got this team really humming right now. So, it does suck that the Patriots are just lucky like this. Like, one Hall of Famer, then you get a rising star come on a few years later. I guess you got to go through a few Mac Jones years to get to your guy. And, hey, I would take that every single day as a Jets fan. But, yeah, I hate it, but they're contenders again.
Hey, speaking to what Greg mentioned about the Broncos, just to give, I went and found the stats. The team that leads the NFL in punts is none other than the New York Jets at 32 punts. Second is the Denver Broncos with 29 punts. So there is some credence to that offense not being elite, as some Denver Bronco and Bo Nix fans would believe. The number 3 and the number 4 seed in the AFC. I think it's safe to say we're not even going to have a discussion and waste time, a part of our episode, to think Jaguars and Steelers. Definitely, we're not even going to, no need to entertain those two. Am I right on that one?
Jaguars and Steelers. Yeah, neither one of them are. They're both pretenders. Pretenders.
That
Hey, you know, still haven't won a playoff game since like Roethlisberger was there or something crazy like that. It was a crazy. I heard the stat. I'm ad libbing here, but they haven't won a playoff game in a long time. And considering they make it every single year for the most part, and they're above 500, Tomlin's got to go. Tomlin's got to go. His time up. His time there is up. Just saying that we talked about it. I know, but that's unacceptable. Like mediocrity can only get you so far. Just being real. And I say that as a guy who loves the fact that he's a black coach who's done so well. Just saying.
Hey, with that though, on this show we keep it a stack. We're not just gonna be like, because you're black, we're gonna, oh, we don't see nothing. No, we see the mediocrity, bro. We see, we see it. Your blackness does not cover that up. It's not gonna work, Mike. So, Jags, Steelers, not in that conversation. The Los Angeles Chargers currently are the 5th seed. For those that do not know, the top 7 get into the playoffs. They are the 5th seed right now at 9-4. We know Herbert is hobbled, came back. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I mean, they got Harbaugh as their coach, so I always think that they got a chance. And you get Hampton back, that's going to add a nice wrinkle to the offense. And as long as Herbert's hand is okay and he doesn't land on it funny, I do think they got a shot. I mean, they still got the elite sort of trio with Keenan Allen, Ladd, and Quentin Johnston. So as long as the defense comes up clutch, which 4 interceptions yesterday. That was a rough game to watch, but they can make plays. They can keep their team in it. And yeah, 9-4, they got a chance.
I don't know. I'm not as high on them. I think Herbert's hand injury, obviously he didn't play very well. Jalen Hurts stunk so bad that the stench kind of covered up the obvious part that, Herbert didn't play well. So I don't know, man. He's always getting hurt. He's always got these hand injuries. We get late into the season. This is, I think, the second year I can think of where something like this has happened. Obviously, it's not his fault, but I have concerns about them offensively. Keenan Allen's not exactly, lighting up the scoreboard the way he was early to start this season. Kind of feels like they're just struggling in their passing game to get it going. But they do run the ball well. They play good defense. They've got a shot. They got a quarterback who I think is very, very good, but again, hobbled. He's a one-arm bandit right now. So I'm curious to see how this thing goes and if they can sustain a high enough level of play to kind of carry them throughout the playoffs and actually be serious. But I'm gonna say pretenders for now. I don't think they're one of the better teams, but there's a lot of parity in the NFL. So at any given weekend they could win, and it's tough. But I'm gonna say pretenders.
Buffalo Bills, number 6 seed currently, 9-4. Contenders or pretenders?
Oof.
Contenders.
I feel like they're split though, because the defense is not that great, even though they made a couple clutch plays, which were gifted to them, but because they should have lost on Sunday, if not for 2 bad plays by Joe on a rare day. But that offense is still an issue. Like, it was the Bengals. So Josh did what he's supposed to do, but we saw what he did against the Texans. A good defense going against them. It's not like the Bills that we saw a few years ago where they could rack up points like it was nothing. Like, this offense is kind of shaky. So I'd say pretenders. They're not any better than they were when they had Diggs. So
the only reason why I'm going to say contenders for the Bills is because I think, the top of the AFC is much weaker than it has been in years past. The Chiefs aren't there standing in their way anymore. Those guys it's over for them, right? Like they have to shake things up completely outside of quarterback, but and their defense. But I think the Bills have one of the best quarterbacks in the sport, a top 2 quarterback in the sport that can make plays at any given time. He makes the impossible look possible out there a lot of times, the way he scrambles around and makes these last-second reaction throws to these wide receivers that we don't even know the names of. And he goes out there and makes plays. He makes them better. He elevates their offense. Do I like their offense? Do I think they're great schematically? No, I don't. But I do believe in the quarterback play. I do believe in that defense. They are physical. They got a lot of good players in that defense playing at a high level right now as well. So this is McDermott's, I think, one of his last few chances also, right? I think you've got to get over the hump. At some point, you've got to get the job done with a roster that they believe can win a championship. And with as much parity as there is in the AFC right now, there's a golden opportunity in front of that team to get it done. I'd be foolish to say for me, I just don't think they're not. I think they're a contender. I think they have an opportunity to get the job done. I think they can beat anybody in this current version of the AFC. There's no juggernaut standing in front of them. It's not like last year's Eagles are in their conference, or 2 years ago's Chiefs are standing in their way. Like, there's no big bad wolf. Get the job done. But the history of Buffalo says they won't. So there's that.
Number 7 seed, which is, I think, a dark horse, and I really like what I've seen so far as of late. They've been coming on, the Houston Texans. We have somebody on the show that has residence in Houston, so he might have an insider information. But the Houston Texans are 8-5. Are they contenders or pretenders?
With that defense,
yeah,
with that defense, they're contenders. Like, I know you might not be a believer, but that defense is something different. Like, the secondary, best secondary in football. Mm-hmm. Then you got 2 bookend pass rushers with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. That they're both going to finish with like 15 sacks apiece. So there's not much teams can really do against that defense. And as long as CJ plays up to like an average level QB, because I think asking him to play like rookie CJ is asking a lot. Just give me average QB play, and this team can make a little run here. I'm a lot higher on them than some people might be as a wild card and as a 7 seed. Like, they were winning without CJ, with Davis Mills, and that's a testament to the defense. So, yeah, I think if you get in the dance, anything can happen. Like, I think they're a better team than the Ravens, the Steelers. I think the only teams that are better than them in the AFC are, honestly, I'll say the Bills and the Patriots. Those are the only 2 teams that are better than them.
Hey, Greg, what is the biggest weakness or the biggest concern about the Houston Texans being a contender?
I would say it's their offense, and it's the way they call plays and the offensive coordinator. I'm really not impressed with that. I saw them against the Chiefs the other night. I thought they didn't do a good job breaking tendencies. Every first down was a run, right? Every second down was a run against them too. It just kind of felt like they were very predictable. They're not very diverse in the way that they attack defenses. Like, it's not like the Bears run game where they're hitting you with a bunch of different types of runs. It's not like that. There's no creativity. And CJ's struggling because of it. He's just struggling. He's not playing well because that offensive coordinator has not done a good job designing an offense that puts the defense in conflict, puts the defense in tough spots. So that's the biggest problem. And the defense is perfect. I agree with Miles. It's probably the best defense in the sport. I know Denver has held that title in the public's eyes. But I saw Jackson Dart go up there and light him up. Like, I saw it in 4K. Teams have had some success against the Broncos defense. I have not seen teams light up the Texans defense, and certainly not in a long time. If it happened very early in the season. I have not seen it. They get after you. They make your life very difficult as an opposing quarterback, as an opposing offense. They stop the run. They pressure the quarterback, and that back end is nasty. Like, they really make it hard and muddy the picture for quarterbacks. So there's no weakness, there's no hole. But the offense is concerning. And people are going to look at it and say, CJ's overrated. CJ's falling back down to earth. Okay, CJ's struggling, but I don't see anything schematically that's being done to make his life easier, and that's my concern. It's bigger than just him. So that's why I have some reservations about it. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points against another team that's great defensively in the playoffs to win.
Hey, on the NFC side, I think the NFC might be a little bit deeper when we talk about options, but they have 2 divisions where it's loaded. So we're going to break it up by division. We have the Rams, Seahawks, and the San Francisco 49ers, only separated by a game. The Rams are 10-3, Seahawks are 10-3, and San Fran is 9-4. Out of those 3 teams, which do you think are contenders?
I mean, the Rams, of course, because they got Sean McVay, and you got, I mean, potentially the MVP of the sport in Matthew Stafford playing at such an elite level. And that defense is legit too. So that's another team that strong offense, strong defense. And then Seahawks, they're similar in ways to the Texans, even though I think their offense is better, but it's a team that's carried by the defense. Like that defense is legit. I mean, Griff could tell you every Sunday, I feel like they're getting a pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown. Like they're legit. And it's not Legion of Boom territory, but this is a defense that top 5 defense easily. And I mean, you can't count out the 49ers. I feel like Shanahan always figures it out come playoff time. But yeah, I think the Rams, Sean McVay is just a top tier coach in the NFL. Um, it's funny. I think Stafford's older than him. I think I saw that. I'm not, age shading anybody, but it's impressive that like he's this young coach who's been doing it for a while, 2 Super Bowls, and they could honestly go to a third one. They could have gone to one last year if they, hadn't messed up in the snow in Philly. But yeah, this team is another team that's a true contender.
For me, I have concerns about Seattle. I have real concerns about Seattle, and not because their defense is great. They have great weapons. I'm concerned about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold hasn't done it. I've seen you play for another team that was really, really good, offensively loaded, good defense, with Brian Flores running that defense in the Vikings, and I've seen you wet the bed. So I can't get that image out of my head. You have to prove to me that the moment's not too big for you, that you can handle playing against these other great defenses in primetime spots and get the job done. Until that happens, I'm always going to have a little bit of trepidation about picking the Seattle Seahawks as a real contender to get to the NFC Championship and let alone a Super Bowl, right? So that's my big thing with them. I know that San Fran's done it before. They're tested. They've done it. They've gone to the Super Bowl. They've been to the Promised Land. They didn't win, but they've been there. I know that the Rams are also tried and true. They've been there. They've been tested, right? Arizona, obviously, what are we talking about, right? There ain't nothing. Go to Area 51. It's over. But as far as like these two teams like San Fran and the Rams, they're tested. I'm gonna say I don't think San Fran, this is their year. I think they've got too many injuries. I think they've got too many injuries to overcome to be a serious contender. But I do believe the Rams in that pack are the most serious of contenders. Seattle's behind them, but I don't really trust Seattle because of their quarterback play. I think it's going to falter when it matters the most. That's just me because of what I've seen. History repeating itself. Hopefully I'm wrong for them.
Hey, so I want to ask you this because you just said part of your trepidation is with Sam Darnold because of what you've seen before. You've seen him not get the job done. We've seen Jalen Hurts get the job done. Super Bowl champion. We've seen Patrick Mahomes get the job done. Super Bowl champion. Both last week did not have good performances. But it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, the main discourse that we're having on all the sports talk shows and social media is strictly on Jalen Hurts. Why do you think that is? Is it fair criticism that we're seeing Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes that kind of gets poo-pooed and put under the rug?
I mean, Jalen Hurts hasn't played well. That's the biggest thing. Like, you look at the body of work the whole season, sure, you could say going into this game, good touchdown numbers, low interception, but like it's sort of deceiving because I mean, if you're not really taking chances and you're dinking and dunking, sure, your numbers can look really good as the season progresses, but like the offense hasn't clicked at all. I think the most they've clicked is the Rams game when they were down by 20 and the Vikings game. That's like the best I've seen the offense sort of look. And I mean, last night, Monday night, was rough. Like you see Jalen Hurts, and yeah, he deserved criticism. He was making some bad decisions, bad throws, very like uncharacteristic of him. But he takes it on the chin, and he's not going to like shy away from the criticism. But as far as this year goes, I don't know. It's getting late. It's getting late in the season. Like we're in December now, and the warts are not healing. So yeah, hey, everybody knows I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts. That's my guy. But you got to call a spade a spade. When you're not playing well, you got to call it out. So yeah,
You're calling it out late though. You calling it out late. That's not
I only presented this. I only
told
presented
you.
this because the main discourse that I've seen from Eagles fan on social media, they've been bringing up, oh, nobody's saying anything about Patrick Mahomes' bad game last week. It's all on Jalen Hurts. It's all on Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
So I wanted your perspective on, do you feel it's an imbalance because it's not as much heavy on Patty and his performance?
It's not. No, it's not an imbalance. Eagles fans are idiots. The reality of it is that people talked about Patrick Mahomes and they said that he wasn't playing well. If you listen to people who knew football, there are people on TV, people who have platforms saying that Mahomes is not playing well early in the season. And frankly, he has not played well all year. That's a fact. No debate about it. He was missing shots he shouldn't have missed. The Denver game stands out. He was missing wide open throws he typically makes. But the reality of it is that Jalen Hurts was getting to hide behind Patullo and the offensive coordinator and how he was calling games and the schematics of the offense. And they were high, but the reality of it was that there were still open throws that he was not making. He was not playing well this year. And the truth of it is, when you really get down to it, is that at least Mahomes, we know, like, yo, that's a one-of-one guy. Like, he's a made guy, right? Like, I'm watching The Sopranos. He's a made guy. Like, we talking about, let's make the analogy, Mahomes is a made guy. But Hurts has won a Super Bowl, sure, but he's been playing on this team that is loaded. Everyone's always had questions about Hurts, whether you want to say it is justified or not. People have had questions about how good he is because he has gotten to play behind an offensive line that is simply the greatest offensive line I have seen in my life. Better than the Cowboys offensive line. It simply is. It's just, so now this year, the offensive line goes through injuries. They go through some turmoil. They go through some turbulence. And what happens? Now we need you, Jalen Hurts, to make some plays and win us some football games. And there have been situations where he has simply sputtered out. And like an old hoopty, he has sputtered out on the side of the road. He has not made the plays. He's missing throws he shouldn't miss. As a guy who's a guy people look at as a former Super Bowl MVP, is a guy who people said was a top 10 quarterback. I never believed that, but that's what people said. And so if that's why you look at him, then this performance that he's put on this year on tape from start to finish has been unacceptable. So yeah, it's different. We're not going to talk about Mahomes in the same way because Mahomes has earned more rope with people because he has proven he's one of one. We know that. He's played with no offensive line. He's played with very minimal weapons and made something out of nothing. He's made lemonade when there's been a pile of apples. But now there's a pile of apples in Philadelphia, and this dude's giving us crap sandwiches. That's what he's doing. He's giving us nothing over in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts. That's the reality of it. You're not, you're not turning what's it called? Coal into gold. You're not doing that in this situation. And so because you're not doing that, and that's what people expect of franchise quarterbacks, we have naturally more questions about you than the guy who's done it. That's how it is. So what are Eagles fans ever even talking about? Like, honestly, why do people even listen to Eagles fans? But that's just the reality of it. That's just my personal opinion. And honestly, if you say I'm wrong, I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what you're watching. You should have beat the Bears. You should have beat the Chargers. You lost both. You know what? You know how good the Eagles are? The Eagles are so good that he had 5 turnovers in that game. Hurts had 5 turnovers. That team had 5 turnovers in that game, and they lost by 3. You lost by 3 with a chance to win it in the end. That's how good that defense is. That's how great that team is from top to bottom. And you still lose the game because Hurts threw an interception into double coverage, and I don't know where he thought he was throwing it. Like, we call spade a spade. This is the story of the night tonight. It goes back to my activity in another group chat. This is we gotta tell the truth, man. Like people like to like put lipstick on a pig and they like to hide behind things. Can we call a spade, please? Golly.
Hey, maybe They changed up the playlist, and it's not any Frankie and Beverly being played before games.
No,
Maybe.
yeah, what they say? Positivity rabbit? All right, bro.
Hey, sticking with the NFC, it's another trio of teams that it's stacked, and it's actually even a bigger discussion of whether or not one of these teams missed the playoffs in its entirety. I'm talking about NFC North over there with the Packers. They are 9-3. You have the Bears 9-4, and the Lions on the outside looking in currently as constructed, they are the 8th seed at 8-5. Which of these teams missed the playoffs, and which of these teams you think is the actual most likely contender?
We list off AFC, NFC North teams. Is that what it was? Is that what we?
Yeah, we did the Bears, Lions, and Packers. Packers currently are 9-3. Bears are 9-4. The Lions are 8-5 on the outside looking in as the 8th seed.
I mean, the Bears got to play the Packers again, and I don't think they'll win that game. I'm going to say the Bears miss the playoffs. Of the 3 teams, I'm going to say the Bears just out of inexperience. And, I mean, Caleb hasn't really been playing that great. He's put on flashes, but, I mean, I see what I see. It's not great football. He's missing throws left and right. They're kind of winning in spite of his play because he's not doing anything spectacular. I mean, he does something spectacular, but it's not like a full body of work for a game. Like it's a play here, and then he misses a 5-yard throw, sails it over the guy's head. So I'm kind of banking on the Bears folding a little bit here down the stretch. And I mean, the Lions, they're a little banged up on defense. That's an understatement, but I'm going to bet on them to, win the rest of their games and get in.
I think you're absolutely right about the Bears, by the way. I think they've been as good as they've been because the defense is really good and because the run game has been so good. Their offensive line is the story of their season. I said it in the group chat over the weekend. That offensive line is creating just monster holes for these guys to run through. And again, Ben Johnson's such a great coach in the sense that he's able to design a run game that's so creative. There's a lot of ways they hurt you on the ground. Right. And then again, Kill's making just enough plays to win some games. He really, I mean, you shouldn't have to say this about the number 1 pick. Right. Do people talk about an improvement from him? Sure, he's improved. The first year was awful. Like, so relative to that, but relative to the standard of a number 1 pick, we're not like this is crazy. The only reason why people aren't talking about him the way they talk about, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess a Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix isn't getting that because they're winning, but we're not criticizing him is because there's the standard so low in Chicago. The bar is low. They didn't have like a 3,000-yard passer since, I don't know, since Bill Clinton got impeached. Like it's been bad over there for a long time. So you really gotta look at it for what it is there, like, and understand why people have rosy glasses over there. The Bears standard's low. They have not done a whole lot of winning. So this year feels like a Super Bowl to them, and right, good for them. But contender, no. Pretender, absolutely, because I think the quarterback play is simply not good enough. And DJ Moore is frustrated. And he's been frustrated since Caleb's gotten there. And I'll tell you this, he has a legitimate case. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Just being honest. He shouldn't have thrown that ball to the back of the back line of the end zone there to Tunyon at the end of the game. He should have hit, or whoever that was. I don't remember who that guy is that he threw to the tight end. He should have thrown it to DJ Moore underneath for a touchdown to tie the game against the Packers. But other teams in there, the Packers, I think they have a legitimate chance. They're a contender in a team in a division that's a lot more, in a conference that's a lot more parity. And then the Lions, I think I'll give them the nod. I think they play well enough, even without Terry and Arnold being out there. I think they're a good defense and they're very well coached and they'll be there when it matters. I just don't know if I trust Jared Goff to get over the hump, but he's been to a Super Bowl, so I probably should put a little more respect on his name. Thinking out loud. But yeah, I think they're a contender as well. I'll give them both the nod as 2 teams that can make it happen.
Well, we know this team that we're about to talk about right now is nowhere near currently constructed as a contender. The Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders last game, 23 of 42, 364 yards, 3 TDs, 97.7 passer rating, a 56.0 QBR rating, and a loss to the Tennessee Titans, 31-29. This is one of those topics that has a lot of tentacles and can go a myriad of ways, but I just want to start off with this aspect, and y'all can take it where y'all want to take it from there. Is Shedeur the franchise quarterback that the Browns have been looking for?
No. But I think they should
get
what?
They'll get you. The Hive's gonna get you.
They
fire it up.
Okay,
fire it up.
They're high over there in Colorado, so whatever. But I don't think so. I just think let's give him another year. And this is actually like the best thing that could happen for Cleveland. Like you get a guy who's shown, a young guy, maybe this could be the guy, maybe he's not. But like you already know, like it didn't work with Deshaun. So sure, they said he should be back for next year. Who cares? It was a mistake. You don't have to keep compounding the mistake by like playing him just because he's on the roster. Like play Shedeur, who could possibly be the guy who, gets you out of QB hell next year, and start him next year, and let's see what you got. Like if he falls flat on his face, then you'll be right back up there with a new coach probably to pick from a crop of maybe Arch or Sayin, guys like that. Like the picks they have this year, use that to develop the roster. Like you got Arvell Reese right up there. You've got Caleb Downs. You got like playmakers you can add to this team to make it a competitive team. And QB shouldn't be a pick. You took 2 last year. What are you just gonna keep throwing mud at the wall until something sticks? Like, sure, Dylan Gabriel, it's out. We know he sucks. Guy threw 60 times for 200 yards earlier in the year. That's unheard of. I don't ever want to see him play again. Shedeur looks like he has something. Am I completely sold? No. It was against the Titans. So let me see it against a good defense. That's why you give him a year of run. If it works, great. You got a steal in the 5th round. If not, he was a 5th round pick. You move on. So Cleveland, it's not that hard. Like, I swear, they make it so much harder than it has to be.
Can I just say, I mean, first of all, I think it's reasonable and measured for anyone to say they're not sold on him being a franchise quarterback. It's too early. I think that's very fair. Okay, like I know people that won't call Jackson Dart a franchise quarterback, and he's done a lot as a rookie. Making a rookie of the year campaign bid. So it's not unfair for Miles to say that, even though I'm sure Jimmy Fox will be in our comments telling us we're idiots because he's a big Shedeur supporter. Please come on the show. But I do think that the thing with Shedeur, it's just weird to me. Like I don't like when people in the mainstream media talk about Shedeur and act like this is normal. I don't think anything about the situation is normal. I was listening to Bomani Jones earlier today, who I tried to not listen to, but I listened to him, and he said that he said that he just thinks that the whole dialogue around Shedeur is ridiculous, right? Like he was making it sound like he's making it sound like it's impossible that there's foul play has happened here. He said Shannon Sharp went on Nightcap last night and said something along the lines, something like, "Hey, I think it's nonsense that you're kind of lining him up to play against their next 4 games where they have the Bears, I believe, and maybe even the Texans, like some really good teams. San Fran's coming in. They got some really good defenses. It's not San Fran, but like some really good defenses coming in. All right, I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure Tone could tell us the next 4 games, whatever it might be. But the moral of the story is I think for Bomani to say that and act like Shannon's all going off the deep end by even saying or inferring that the Browns are setting Shedeur for failure, I think it's ridiculous. I think there's definitely something weird going on here. In this game that we just saw last week, in a game where Shedeur played incredible, let's just be honest. I know the passing completion percentage wasn't great, but he had 4 touchdowns he was responsible for in that football game against a defense that isn't terrible. Denard Wilson knows what he's doing as a defensive coordinator. He knows how to scheme defense, right? Coming straight from the Ravens. And he went out there and balled out. They took him off the field when they got to the red zone. They took him off, and they keep on doing it. You see, if he did it once or twice over the span of this guy playing, that'd be one thing. He's done it 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 times since Shedeur's been the starter. And when Dylan Gabriel's playing, they weren't running like Wildcat. They weren't doing that. So how can you tell me that you think there is nothing weird going on here and that Stefanski isn't anti-Shedeur in some way? There's clearly some kind of power struggle going on between Barry and Stefanski. Barry picked Shedeur, right, in the 5th round, which is just ridiculous in and of itself. He's not a 5th round player. When you watch that guy play football, you know what 5th round guys look like. That is not a 5th round quarterback. It just isn't. This just period. Not in this day and age. Will Howard may have been picked before him for all I know. It's ridiculous. Okay, so like when you look at it that way, and you look at the situation unfolding over in Cleveland, I have a hard time saying anything other than the fact that this is not foul play, or this is foul play. It just is. So this has nothing to do with whether or not he's a franchise quarterback. I'm just saying he has not been given a fair shot to be one. He should have been starting way earlier. We should have a clearer picture on what Shedeur is right now than we do. Because Dylan Gabriel, what did you see in him that told you he's better than Shedeur? It makes no sense. Like there's nothing about his game that's remarkable at all. But Shedeur's shown more promise in 3.5 quarters, and he's played more than that, obviously. But 3.5 quarters than Dylan has shown in all of his starts. It's embarrassing. And I know Cleveland fans want Stefanski's head right now, and they justifiably should want this head. It's a travesty what's happened this year. So, and you wasted a year. If you really think about it, you've wasted one. We should have a better evaluation of Shedeur. He's clearly better. So at the end of the day, everyone there should get fired. Outside of the GM, who's made some really good picks. There's a good roster there. Fannin is an incredible pick. Schlesinger is an incredible pick. Mason Graham, I don't know, he's been quiet, but he's been okay. Like, he hasn't been bad. Like, and he traded back for Mason Graham. He traded out of the pick and got a couple other first rounders. He's done a phenomenal job. Fire Stefanski and give Shedeur another year. Because I'll tell you one thing, the Mendoza kid, I'm like, he can play and everything. I'm not sold. Like, I'm not sold on any quarterback coming out unless Archer's coming out. I'd give him a real shot. Other than that, I can wait another year if I'm them. So give Shedeur another chance and revamp the roster like Miles is saying. But let's not act as if there's no foul play happening here. That's what irritates me. I think it's BS.
You know how I feel about Bomani in our chat.
He's a weirdo.
He often, it seems, he takes the contrarian route just to take the contrarian route, which he's great at. He's great at it. He is great at what he does. He's been a decade plus at this media thing, and it comes easy to him. So I don't know if he fully believes all this stuff, but he is very, very good, and somebody that is off to their start in media, off to a crazy.
I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
When you say contenders, what do you mean?
I don't think they have enough to get to the Western Conference Final. I don't think they have enough to get to really contend. Look, we've seen it, right? We've seen when you have the talent up top that they have, those guys can win games.
LeBron and Luka.
But also Austin's
and
played
Austin
very
Reeves,
well this year.
Absolutely.
He's taking a step. Then when you go into the playoffs, we've seen last year, they ran into athleticism and length. They struggled. So when you look at it now, athleticism, length, shooting, speed, right? Because now, can the Lakers play fast? I don't think so.
As currently constructed, you don't love the Lakers' chances?
No.
Is LeBron realistically a guy who could not be on the Lakers at the end of this year?
No.
He will be on the Lakers at the end of this year.
Yeah, where's he going to go?
I mean, New York comes to mind.
That's wishful thinking, Max. You're from New York.
Hey, that first episode,
Funny.
Max is hilarious. But that first episode, they got something. They cooking with gas over there. But what do the Lakers need to do? What changes do they need to make to actually be contenders? And we're talking about obviously OKC and Denver, getting past those two teams, not really anybody else. They are currently a top 3 team according to record in the Western Conference. And LeBron, who everybody was saying he was washed, and I've heard people even after that game was like, oh, it's just a one-off game. 29, 12 of 17, 4 of 6 from 3, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He hasn't even played 10 games yet this year. I don't think LeBron is washed, but what changes, and are they even able to make these changes? Because we talked about this at the beginning of the year in the summertime. There's changes that need to be made. I don't know if they are currently constructed. They could even really make the changes that they need to make.
I think the Lakers, like for them, I think Rich is obviously right. I see some Lakers fans are annoyed because they see Rich as LeBron's mouthpiece, but stop being stupid, right? Like just stop being dumb, right? Like let's be honest, okay? Even if LeBron feels this way, he'd be absolutely right to have that view of this roster. They're simply not fast enough and not athletic enough to compete with OKC in particular, and on some level Denver, right? But OKC is mainly the one I'm talking about, right? They are so fast as a team and so athletic and do such a great job closing gaps defensively because of their team speed and length that you got to be able to combat that. The margin for the Lakers can win any one-off game against OKC, right? The Lakers might beat OKC by 20 at some point this season. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a series, right? That's not the way it works. Atlanta used to beat up on those Cavs teams back in the day all the time. People thought Atlanta was going to win the championship, and then when they played in the playoffs, the Lakers, the Cavs at the time, went out there and beat the brakes off them 4-0, right? 4-1, right? Gentleman sweep, whatever it is. So you can't go off regular season stuff, right? Like to Rich's point, who understands basketball, he just understands. He knows what he's talking about. For me, when I look at the Lakers, they need to add speed, length, and athleticism. There are 2 guys I'm looking at for them as trade targets that would make me believe they are serious as a real contender. The kid, what's his name? Trey Murphy, I believe, down in New Orleans, who's available right now. And I'd give up a first-round pick for him in a heartbeat. I'd do that trade. Whatever you want to give up Mark Williams, I'd up that deal and make that happen. Or if I'm not getting him, Herb Jones. Herb Jones is another guy who I'd be very interested in, a great defender. We know what he is. He can knock down threes, right? But going to give you a chance to force turnovers in the half court, take some pressure off of Luka defensively and Braun defensively, right? Be able to allow you to play more depth kind of lineups and play smaller, right? And be faster as a group. I think that's a big thing. Ayton's been awesome. He's been a pleasant surprise. He's played great basketball. I was wrong. I've got egg on my face. He has played fantastic. That's part of the reason why they're as good as they are. He deserves a lot of credit for that. Now that you have that, you got to strike while the iron's hot. You have a chance. I would make a move like a Trey Murphy. I'd make a move like a Herb Jones. I'd scour the league for wings that are athletic like that. You know who else I was thinking about one night? Derrick Jones Jr., who had some success in the past playing with Luka, a smaller deal, like obviously not as exciting, but kind of gives you the athletic ability to get up and down the floor, play with some pace, right? You can knock down the three ball, can give you some verticality, playing above the rim. I like that too. So, no, I think Rich's assessment is absolutely correct. It's how Bron feels about it. We already know that. Like, we know the Lakers are doing what they want to do. They're not. They said, "Oh, we want to save cap space to bring another superstar." Who are you going to bring? Giannis is playing games. Who are you going to bring? Go all in on this roster, man. You got a chance. I would do it. And you can still, build around what's left when LeBron walks away. But give this team a chance to compete because they are good enough. But you've got to add some length and some athleticism because, again, you can't compete with the speed of OKC. It's the speed. They play with – when you watch OKC play, it's like they're playing at a different speed than everybody else. Truly. And then with the Nuggets is just having enough bodies to throw at Jokic and deal with the way he passes and put you in a bind. But yeah, that's my take. I'd say those are my targets for them. And there are more guys, but just for the sake of conversation.
Hey, I think that's the perfect team that you mentioned because it should be a fire sale in New Orleans. Y'all don't have a first round pick. I gave it up to get Derek Queen, who looks good. I think they said the first player before 21 to have a triple-double at the center position. Like, he's starting to come on, him and Jeremiah Fairs. They got 2 pieces right there for the future. fire sell everything and try to get some picks because y'all geniuses got rid of your picks. Mentioning those Pelicans, Miles, closing us off for this episode, we are 24 games in, a little bit over the first quarter of the season. From what we've seen so far, what are some of your biggest takeaways? Some players that you like, some surprises, Celtics being on a winning streak as of late. What has been some of your biggest takeaways from 24, 25 games into this NBA season?
I mean, Jalen Johnson being a potential first-team All-NBA guy, I didn't see that coming. Like, sure, with Trae Young out, he's had a lot more responsibilities as far as handling the ball and all that. But I wouldn't change it once Trae Young comes back. Honestly, they should be behind closed doors trying to like look for a deal for this guy. Because why mess up the chemistry they got going? Like, Nickeil Alexander Walker's playing really well. The Hawks haven't been that bad, and you would think losing your all-star point guard, things would kind of fall off a cliff a little bit. I feel like they're playing better than they would with Trae Young there, so that's a surprise. What's not surprising is Zion in and out of the lineup, hurt, always hurt. I don't know. I can't make excuses for that guy anymore. He lost weight, still injuries happening left and right. Like now people questioning like if he's really committed to the game or not. I'm like, this is a guy at Duke I thought was going to be something. And he showed flashes, but I mean, they got to get rid of him. And that's why you're seeing the first best offer they get, they're taking it because he's not somebody that you're building around. Like Derek Queen has been showing like this is a guy that you can build around. This is a superstar in the making. Like
Fears too now.
Yeah,
I told y'all about Fears. Fears is no joke.
So they should be looking to get rid of Poole too. I mean, it's a fun young roster they got down there in New Orleans, even if they have to kind of like flip some guys to get picks for the future. Like Trey Murphy would suck to trade him, but I mean, like you said, they don't have picks right now. For whatever reason, David Griffin did what he did, and Joe Dumars kind of doing the same thing. They don't have anything to kind of build upon. Like, hey, kudos to them. They traded a pick to get Derek Queen. I mean, if we had a redraft, he's probably in the top 3 for that draft. So, I mean, is it a bad trade? No, I think it could pan out to like being worth it, but I don't know. That team just seems to have no direction. And what's one other thing? I mean, hearing that the Pelicans are looking at AD, that's something that I'm like, it hasn't happened, but to see that the Pistons are, serious about trying to go all in with like Tatum out and Halliburton out. Like they're seriously trying to make a move in the Eastern Conference, and we'll see. I don't know if AD's the right guy to go after, but if his stock is that low and you don't have to give up much of value, like I mean Ivy, I say you trade him as soon as you can before the wheels fall off and people realize that he's not that good anymore. Make a move. Bring AD to Detroit if that's what you want. It's like if you get a healthy AD or like 70% AD, like the Pistons can make a run.
Hey, they add AD to what they're doing defensively already. I mean, that man Beef Stew over there, outside of when he's trying to fight, he's a DPOY candidate. So you add, if you could able to keep Beef Stew with Anthony Davis, bruh, the way K's been playing, you got a big guard. Yeah, that would be.
They can get out the East.
That would be special. And I think with that team, how K's been playing as an MVP candidate and the rest of the roster, you don't even need AD to be the AD.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You don't need AD to be Lakers AD.
Bro. I'm not sure they're not going to get out the East right now. That's how good they are. Like for real, they are. He playing at such a high level. I believe they could get out the East right now as currently constituted because Cade's playing at such a high level, right? And they've just taken a step forward as a group, as a team. They've made improvements. So and Duncan Robinson was a nice signing for them. They got the shooting. I like them. I like them a lot. More, maybe, not gonna say more than General Public. They're really good. Also, I'll say this. With New Orleans, they should have been got off Zion. They're idiots for hanging on this long. And now you're in a jam because now you're selling for pennies on the dollar. The second he had that nice little run was it last year? Maybe I think he played well for a little stretch when he came back off injury or something. He should have been gone. You should have dealt him. Give up, right? Let some sucker trade for him then. But now it's too late. The book's out. The guy doesn't love basketball. He loves food more than the game. It's unfortunate. Food addiction is a real problem. Many Americans are suffering from it. All right. And plenty of people are suffering from food addiction in this country. Plenty of people are walking around here huge, right? They can't eat a salad. They can't put down the burger, and that's unfortunately, that's Zion. So it's unfortunate, but the book's out and, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like now you're stuck with them. I ain't going to name no names. I almost started naming names. Is that kind of night? But it would get edited out anyway, so I ain't gonna do all that.
Hey, we're gonna end up on a positive. We're gonna end up on a positive. Hey, I know we talked about it in our chat privately, but he had his first game, I think maybe his first game back coming off of injury. And even Bill Simmons was singing poetic about this player, and we all honestly have been high on him being drafted. It was really just a question of how would the Spurs actually be able to let him rock out, being at his D Fox there and Castle. And it's been a seamless transition for Dylan Harper in the NBA. Greg, like I said, we're gonna end up with a positive. Just show some love to Dylan Harper and how he's been playing in the NBA.
I mean, Dylan has been incredible, man. I think the thing that's really more impressive about him is like the pace he plays with. The game's not too fast for him. But then on top of that, like it isn't like he's hitting a bunch of jump shots yet, right? Guys are playing back on him, and he can make it every now and then, but he's still able to eat up the space between you and him, the defender and himself, and still make a great play at the rim, still create for someone else, or get it, or like make it against all odds type of finish because he's so strong and physical. He makes these NBA guards look small. I'll tell you, he's the best driver of the basketball I've seen. Like maybe like again since like Bron, like Bron Luka-ish era, like those kind of guys as draft prospects. But then on top of that, like he's just so young and he's got so much room to grow and he's going to get better as a 3-point shooter. He can play on ball. He can play off ball. He gets flexibility in that way. And he just gives the Spurs like so much like just freedom, like to kind of like either play with 2 guards and De'Aaron Fox, play with 3 guards. There's just a million ways they can hurt you now as a basketball team. And also beyond that, they don't have to make a rush move for a Giannis. They don't have to do that. If I were them, I wouldn't necessarily trade Dylan Harper. I wouldn't feel compelled. I keep my assets. I've got Dylan Harper. I've got Stephon Castle, who I know is a really good basketball player already and is going to continue to get better. They have a bunch of guys there. And unlike New Orleans, they have a bunch of guys there. And I want to say New Orleans of the past because I do love Fears, I do love Queen. But unlike New Orleans historically, they have a bunch of guys there that love this game and are going to continue to get better and are true professionals. They've gotten it right, and they've gotten very fortunate with the lottery too. Dylan Harper shouldn't be there. There's that too, but he is, and he's incredible. He's the future superstar as long as he stays healthy as well. There's nothing not to love about that kid's game. People may bring up his jump shot. I think we all know as guys from Jersey, that kid can shoot the ball. It's going to happen, right? The game's going to slow down for him. He's not necessarily struggling. He's just getting to the rim at will. A guy who gets paint touches over and over again in this version of basketball is a very valuable basketball player. And he does it at the highest rate I've ever seen a rookie do it outside of, again, the special ones like Luka and LeBron. But it's time to admit he's a special one. He's one of those guys. He's one of them ones. So, no, man, I can't say enough good things about Dylan Harper. He's incredible.
Wait. So of those 3 guards on San Antonio, from like untouchable to like,
yeah,
man, what's the list? Who's the most untouchable prospect?
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause.
Right. Pause.
No. I wasn't saying pause for that. I was just about to give you your flowers. I love when y'all do this. This was not on the docket, and y'all just come up with your own questions. But go ahead. That was smooth. I like what you did right there.
I'm a bigger De'Aaron Fox fan than most. I really am. But given the apron situation, like I'm just talking about it from a financial standpoint, and also like I think you could win a championship with Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper as your starting backcourt. I think you could do that. Whether it's this year or down the line, you could do it. I'd say he's probably the most expendable because of his contract, because you're going to get more flexibility having guys on rookie deals as in your backcourt. It's a smart thing to do. Is probably to look to ship him out at some point, even though he's playing at a high level and he's keeping them afloat while Victor's out, because he's a basketball genius. De'Aaron Fox, he's a very good player. And he's also older. So not old, but older. So I think to kind of reset the timeline of the team, because you have flexibility to do that now, because you've gotten Dylan Harper, which again should not have happened, is BS. But here you are. You've been fortunate again. You've got this Tim Duncan all over again. I would definitely probably look to move De'Aaron of all three of them for those reasons, right? Because he's older, but he's going to get you and then imagine what the haul you'll get back, because you're not trading an appreciating asset. You're trading a guy who can play. I'll tell you right now, if they make that guy available, Sean Marks, final line. Knock on the door, make it happen. That's the kind of guy I want on my team. Like, he's a heck of a player. It's just it's the cards they're dealt. They are like OKC. They've got assets upon assets in the treasure trove, and then they hit the lottery, literally getting Dylan Harper and having Victor Wembanyama and having Stephon Castle. You have a surplus now, so now you can kind of delve out of a position of strength. So De'Aaron's probably the guy, but it's not because he's of his skill. It's just because of the age and the contract, and also the apron nonsense. You want to stay under, that's the way you do it. You have your flexibility now. That's my take on it.
And at some point, I feel like they'll have to kind of consolidate these guys who all kind of play like the same position and similar styles, like that combo point forward or point guard role. And I kind of would lean towards De'Aaron Fox too. Like, I don't know if I'd be trading Dylan Harper when like he's just scratching the surface. And same with Steph. Like, I mean, rookie of the year, and then this year he's averaging like 17.5 and like 7 assists. So those two guys I would build around. Like, they're bigger guards too, like 6'6", 6'7", 7. But but yeah, De'Aaron Fox. They're gonna have a tough decision to make, because did they sign him to an extension?
They did.
They did, right?
They already signed it. And the problem is no team in the league has cap space right now, as you know, outside of the Nets. That is why I'm saying, if you want to get off that contract, I'm going to stay flexible. I'm going to pair him right there on MPJ. Bring him down here. We'll be good with the picks we have. And I'm here. I'm here for it. I got no problem making that kind of deal if I'm the Nets. But there'll be suitors for De'Aaron Fox if he gets to market. They'll just figure out ways. They'll start clearing cap space. He's a good player. He's a very good player. Elite, even.
Does he have a no trade? Because I'd be like, yo,
I don't know.
For Giannis, I'd throw him.
I don't think so.
I just don't think you have to do that. Like, I mean, you can. Yes, you have the flexibility. You can. The roles your oyster. But you don't have to do that. Like, the thing about the Giannis situation, I was saying it in a group chat. I don't know if Tone's in this group chat, and we're kind of riffing here, but which is probably a good thing. But with Giannis, I kind of said, if I'm the GM of that team, Horst, I think his name is, I'm not bending the knee to Giannis here. I'm not doing it. If I can get Jalen Johnson as a return in a trade for him, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do whatever I can to get Jalen Johnson. And the only reason why I brought up Jalen Johnson is because on that podcast, Rich Paul specifically mentioned Jalen Johnson being a guy you can get in return for Giannis, and that's his agent. If his agent's firing off that flare and shooting that in the air and telling you he's interested in going back to sorry Milwaukee because he's from there, then I am going to try to get that player, because he's been the best player in the Eastern Conference this year, Jalen Johnson. I'm not like, that's what I'm doing. Now, again, I think I know how this works. Giannis will have a lot of say, he'll have sway, and I think he'll ultimately decide where he goes, which is probably New York. But I'm saying, if I'm them, I don't care about burning that bridge down. I don't care how I look. This trade's the biggest transaction in the history of that franchise, in the history of the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. I am going to do what I have to do, regardless of hurt feelings with Giannis. Giannis decided he wants to leave after re-upping with me. He extended. I have the cards. You know who wouldn't? You know who's not bending their knee to a free, star player in the situation? Pat Riley. He would never bend the knee. He was going to send you to where he thinks he's going to get the biggest return. That's Pat Riley. You don't care, right? On some level, I think they have to adopt that mentality, but I don't think they will. So we'll see. We'll see. Also, Giannis is playing games anyways, hosting meetings, telling them, oh, don't worry about everything that's going on. It's a distraction. No, you're the distraction. The reason why people think you're leaving is because of you. You're the one who took all these posts down off your Instagram. Stop hiding. You see, it don't work. You don't get to eat your cake and whatever it was. Take your cake and eat it too. I don't know what the saying is, but you don't get to do that, right? Like Dame did, where you get to try to play good guy, but the whole time you want to leave. But in public, you don't act like, oh, I don't want to leave. But behind closed doors, you're feeding shams, telling them I want to go, and then you're doing things like little passive aggressive things online, signaling that you want to leave. You don't get to do that. Like it's just, if you want to go, man, stand on it. Just it's okay. You won them a championship. No one's gonna blame you if you want to leave. Sorry, Milwaukee. I understand. Who wants to live in Milwaukee? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what even is Milwaukee? What's that name? What is like? It's okay. If you want to leave, just say that. No one's gonna judge you. It's fine, man. Damn.
It's funny though, because with Giannis with the injury, I'm not saying it's a fake injury or nothing. I'm not saying that, but because of the injury, he doesn't have to talk to the media.
It's convenient.
2 weeks. It's convenient. So all these reports come out, and it's not his words. It could be his words back channeled to Shams or whoever to say this, that he wants out or he wants this place. But yeah, he doesn't have to talk to the media. He gets to kind of like chill and watch the cheese burn down in Milwaukee. And I mean, hopefully they get a solution to this issue soon, because I don't know, he's their most cherished player in their franchise, and I'd hate to see it just deteriorate over the next few months. But I could see it getting to a point. I'd hate to see it, but I'd love to see him in that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm saying
orange and blue skies. So,
hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. And we've seen this too many times when it talks about X player wants to leave, X player wants to be traded, time and time again. And we come to find out there's some truth to it. You maybe didn't start it, you didn't start the rumor, whatever the case may be. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Benchmark, we out. Peace.
Peace.